Hey guys, what's going on? And today, I'm beginning this episode filming for my new camera. I'm ecstatic. And finally, I got this camera in the mail. It's here. Well, here, like right there, literally. And happy to up my production quality with it. There's a lot less. I'm shaking the camera like crazy right now. Image stabilization is way better. Way better content. Just not off my iPhone anymore, and I'm ecstatic about it. And another update on the car, I did receive parts in the mail. Probably next video is gonna be me installing them, and let's get going with today's video. It's not gonna be very long, it's gonna be a quick story, but hey, I don't have anything to do. It's been pouring these last few days. So, all right, so a lot of you may wonder, I'm 20, well, I was 22 when I bought this car. How the heck did that happen? Well, just gonna make a disclaimer now, my parents did not pay for it. It's all me. I was lucky enough to have a great support in the sense of I've always had people that supported my decisions in my life, always had plenty of, yeah, go do it, go do that. And this all begins one day when I decided that I was gonna wrap my Mustang. Well, I still have it. I gave it to my sister actually. It's a 2-valve Mustang, you know, 02 GT, nothing special. I was ready to start, you know, putting some money into it, and you know, I was gonna slam it. I was gonna put nice wheels on it, and I was gonna wrap it. And you know, that car's been through a lot. I've had it for 6 years. And you know, I ordered the wrap, no problem. It was this beautiful blue color. It turned into purple. It was like a matte pearlescent. And you know, I was ecstatic about it. I ordered 100 feet. It was my first time wrapping. I was all about this. You know, I had that energy. It was, you know, I was ready. And you know, I ordered the wrap. A week later, the wrap comes in. So I would go ahead, take a day off. I was with my sister actually. She was helping me wrap the first panel. And I go ahead, you know, cut it. I ordered 100 feet. I think I said that already. I cut my first piece of wrap for the left rear quarter panel, if I'm not wrong. I lay it out, whatever. I messed up in the middle. No big deal. So I go ahead and I, you know, take it off. I go to cut the next piece and I run out of wrap. So at that point, I'm like, what the heck? You know, I started freaking out. You know, I got the car ready to wrap. I took all the taillights. I took the taillights off. I took some trim panels off. The badges were off. The headlights were off. Everything was taken apart, ready to go. And, you know, I didn't receive, I must have only received like 20 feet. So I call the company. They're like, oh no, we sent you 100 feet. And I was really upset, so I called my dad, let him know what was happening, and he literally told me, I know you hate Camaros, but there's a ZL1 for sale, see if you can get it financed. And at this point, I was already, you know, I was skeptical, just because, you know, I was 22 at the moment. I was like, who the heck's gonna finance a, you know, $30,000 car and give it to a 22-year-old? So whatever, you know, I had money for a down payment. So I go to this first dealership, and you know, I went with my old man. It was like probably 7 or 8 o'clock. It was already, they were getting ready to close, and they're like, yeah, sure, we'll show you the car, whatever. You know, they started it up. They already had headers in it, from what I recall, in a cold air intake. It sounded great. I test drove it, no problems. The car looked great at night. And mind you, this was a 2015 ZL1. Same body style as this one, just a different, actually no, nothing's different about it. Yeah, nothing's different about it. Just the 2015 is the only difference. So I go ahead, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll come in tomorrow. The next day was my day off. I come in tomorrow and I'll you know, sign the paperwork. We'll get this financed, whatever. Yeah, he said there's no problem with the financing. So I go and I check the car out again the next day during the daylight, just to see, you know, if anything was different, everything was wrong. And believe me when I tell you, this car, I did see had an accident. I didn't mind. It said it was a minor accident on the Carfax, below $1,000. which I highly doubt at this point, because I'm looking at the quarter panel that got hit, and it looks like they took the quarter panel off of another car, placed it, they welded it, and then they painted over the welds without grinding them down, without applying any body filler or anything. So I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, did you know about this? And this guy's just like, what? I don't see what you're talking about. And just blatant like differences that were probably like 1/8 of an inch higher than the rest of the quarter panel. And I'm like, no, you know what? I don't want this car. And I walked away from the deal. And at that moment, I'm like, well, you know what? Let me also look at Mustangs. I was also thinking about getting a 10R80 5.0, and I was also thinking of a GT350. And essentially, I looked at a GT350, and then there was this car. This car, higher mileage, it had a little bit higher mileage. It had like 60,000 miles when I bought it. And the price was the same as the one that had the accident. So I'm thinking there's something wrong with this car. You know, I go to the dealership, I look it over, and I tell them I wanted to test drive it. And what I'm telling you, this entire dealership looked at me and went, haha, what? Like, I'm gonna let you drive this car? You're 22. You know, at this point, you know, I've been working hard. And, you know, my credit score is up there. And I'm like, where's my credit? I don't care. I'll test drive it before I buy it. I'm gonna buy it. And the general manager, or not the general manager, the finance manager, or like the general finance manager, steps out and goes, well, there's a kid that bought a 5.0 last week that was sitting in the same exact spot. He was younger than you. And I'm like, so? He was like, well, these guys are all judging you. I'll help you out. I'm like, okay, you know, this guy, you know, all these kids were, not these kids, but all these salesmen were looking at me funny and stuff. I'm just like, okay, I just want to buy this car. And, you know, finance manager, the general finance manager comes out. I don't know what the position's actually called, but, you know, he was like, he literally told them, I'm taking this sale from you guys. I'm looking at the guy like, you don't even know me. You know, at this point, I was just a Joe Schmo that was 22 that showed up with his sister, and, you know, I just said I wanted to buy it. So he literally made everybody move everything out the way. The car was inside the showroom. He started it, I listened to it, everything sounded great. I test drove it, and I fell in love with the car, and I'm like, you know what? I'll buy it. And he was like, we're financing, right? I'm like, yeah. So he runs the finance. He calls the dealership. I'm not gonna say any names or anything, but the dealership has a bank that they finance with, and they actually got me a really good APR for it. I'm not gonna go into any details of the financials, but got me a really good deal with it, and I signed and went through with it, and now here I am 2 years later, and I couldn't be happier. And this is something that goes to show that no matter what your age, no matter who puts you down because you're younger, because you're inexperienced, forget that. It's always something that you should put past your head. I don't make too much money, you know, I'm not a millionaire. My parents didn't help me out. Not that they're terrible people or anything, they just, you know, they couldn't afford to help me out. And, you know, I have the luck of still living with them at the moment, so I can afford something like this. And I honestly couldn't be any happier with my decision. And later on, of course, you guys, a lot of you know me in real life, you know the story, things that's happened to the car, things I've done to the car. And here I am at 24 with, yeah, it's not super fast. Like, it's not 1,000 wheel horsepower like every, you know, LS guy wants it to be, but, you know, 600 wheel, and I could not be happier with this car. Well, that's it for today's video. Glad you guys stuck around this long for the story of how I got this car at 22. And if you guys like what you saw, hit that like, comment, subscribe, and I've got my next video coming up. It's gonna be great. And my next video coming up is probably gonna be me doing the work to add these parts into my car. There's not gonna be too much, not that it's not gonna be an exciting video, but it's not gonna be crazy like, oh, I put another 1,000 wheel horsepower on my car. No, it's gonna be something not huge, but important. catch you guys later.